Apocalypto, directed by Mel Gibson, an adventure film which takes place towards the end of the Mayan civilization in South America. It opens with a small tribe of hunters and gatherers who early on are attacked by slavers and taken to one of the big Mayan cities to be offered as ritual sacrifices. The main protagonist has to then escape the clutches of his oppressors and try to rescue his family from a similar fate. So, what's most interesting about the film is the way it approaches its storytelling. The entire dialogue is in the Mayan dialect. There's not a single line of modern Western language spoken in the film, be it English or Spanish or whatever else. Similarly, there is really no character that we would call an audience insert. Since this is a story about a very foreign and specific culture, what authors of such stories usually do is put a character in that is an outsider as well, someone more similar to the audience. That way you have someone who is easier to identify with and serves as a sort of conduit for experiencing all those foreign things. Remember, this is not just a foreign language film, it's an entirely different civilization and culture, one that doesn't really exist anymore. Apocalypto says no to such notions and just throws us all in the deep end. We have to navigate through the culture and the events on screen based on what we see mainly. Sure, there is some dialogue and subtitles, but in general, the storytelling is primarily visual. Based on the stuff we see and the faces of characters and the reactions and their physicality, we have to infer what's going on. We have to infer whether something is normal or extraordinary. You get to experience their emotions as well: fear, anger, contempt. I think setting such a task for yourself to tell such a story in this particular way was quite brave and difficult at the same time. But I'm pleased to say that the end result is pretty amazing. I never had any trouble getting into the film and was engaged emotionally throughout. Despite the lack of easily presented information in the form of dialogue, I was never lost as to what's going on. I think the reason why it's so easy to follow is partly because these tribes that we're following have a kind of savagery to them, and the main core of the plot is not something stemming from an advanced culture or society. It's the opposite. It's the bare bones of what makes us human, and even further than that, animalistic instincts and tendencies present in these harsh circumstances. Because the circumstances are harsh and brutal, the movie doesn't really pull any punches, and there are scenes and sequences in here which are very gruesome and bloody to the point of being disgusting. But again, it all fits and it serves the story being told. I don't think it was so brutal just for the sake of being shocking. I also really loved the ending. I won't say what happens exactly, but there are a few scenes towards the end which are really, really cleverly done in the context of the rest of the film. And during one of them, I actually shouted "wow" out loud because I didn't expect that thing to happen, and yet when it did, it made so much sense. Final word on the production design: costumes, makeup, set design, locations, weapons. Absolutely stunning. From minute one, I believed this was real. I believed we were there. It never looked fake or artificial. Brilliant job on that front. So, if you haven't seen Apocalypto yet, be sure to check it out. It's quite an amazing film that, on the one hand, draws on the simplicity of storytelling and elements present in it ever since storytelling begun, and on the other, doing something that feels fresh and unique and is executed really well.